Burton, Michigan, which is maybe a block and a half away from the Flint City border. This is day 9 of the UAW workers' strike. This is a GM facility we're at right now. This is one of the new facilities that was opened up on Friday at noon when Sean Fain announced that there would be 38 new locations. So we're going to be talking to as many workers as we can here today, getting their story, hearing about their backgrounds, some of the hardships that they face, and, just learning more about the strike. So Tawan is our strike captain here at the Burton Flint. What do you call this? The Davison side?
Yeah, the CCA Davison. Yep.
And you have about, I think 1,000 workers here or something, a large group. You do parts distributions. Tell us a little bit about what you do here.
Well, we actually, distribute to the different dealerships. So certain cars that parts that you need, that's what we send out so that you can get your cars repaired.
We have a friend here. Don't sting us. So basically, you're sending parts to dealers, retailers, not necessarily other plants that are putting assembly lines together.
We do send some things to the different plants. Like when they had the chip shortage, some of the chips came through here, and we distributed them out so they can, for the trucks and stuff. Yes.
Okay. And how long have you worked for GM?
Well, I've been with GM for 8 years, but I've been over here at CCA for 4, and I hired in as of 2 years. Yes.
And I'm assuming you're full-time permanent?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So how many temp employees do you have here at this particular facility?
We would say like 100 and something, yes.
We've been talking to some of these folks, and they've been working as temp employees for 5-6 years, and it's kind of crazy that they would still be considered a temp employee.
Yeah, that is insane. Hopefully with this we can eliminate that and eliminate the tiers that we're going for, and get more pay for the work that we do. We sustain the company with the chip shortage and through the pandemic, and they make billions of dollars and we make nothing.
No, and that's part of the conversation, isn't it? Because when they took away a lot of these concessions back in 2008 and 2009, during that period, they promised that they would give them back when the companies became profitable again. Obviously, they're immensely profitable. Billions of dollars of profits are coming in. So they don't have that excuse at this point. So Ford has sort of come to the table with some concessions. Stellantis and GM seem to be the holdout. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I wish they get on their job and give us what we need, because if they don't, I think we're going to be out here. For a long time.
And now, what is your story and what's your name?
I'm Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
How long have you been here?
Same amount of time as she has.
So would you guys be considered vets at this point or somewhere in between?
I would say new beginners, really.
Yeah.
And have you been full-time? Were you one of the transfer employees? What's your background?
No, I came in as a temp and then just got hired in through seniority.
How many years were you a temp before you became full-time?
18 months.
18 months is a long time.
Is there a limit? At this plant, that's 2 years.
Okay, so explain this to me, because I swear I've heard every place we go, there's different rules. It's all very confusing if you're not on the inside baseball side of this whole thing. Why is it 4 years at some place, 2 years here?
CCAs are only a 2-year thing, but I think they had that in the last contract, that after 2 years you were made seniority.
Okay. So it might be that GM had a better agreement than Stellantis did.
Yeah. Everybody's different. They all have their own little...
They all have their own problems.
Yes.
Which is why we're out here together in unity, right? We were just at the center line facility. That's a Mopar facility earlier today. There were definitely some Ford guys there on the picket line, even though they are they're an assembly plant. They're not on strike yet, but they were out there in solidarity. Lots of people driving by, even here, honking. They have solidarity with you guys. I think the American public is feeling what you're feeling right now, because they too are suffering. What we're seeing income inequality wise is true across so many different, various.
Not the old school GM no more. How everybody thinks it was when Grandma and Grandpa worked here. It's not like that no more. It's a total different scenario.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about how those things have changed. One of the Ford guys mentioned to me this morning that the reason he thinks that Ford came to the table quicker is because the family is still involved in the management, so they still try to keep their reputation alive through that. Do you think that's part of the problem with GM?
Family owned, and we're not shareholder owned.
Correct. She's correct.
She's correct. You endorse that? You're like, I'm just going to endorse that one. So, you're a team captain. You hear a lot of folks' stories. What are some of the hardships that folks are facing? Obviously, we're in an area, Flint here, where I'm going to mention this, even though it has nothing to do with the United Auto Workers strike. They still don't have clean drinking water, going on a decade now. What are some of the hardships your workers are facing?
Well, a lot of child care is what I'm hearing. The cost of living is up, where they go to the grocery store and they're spending, they used to spend like $200, now they're up to $400 or $500. There's no compensation for that, I guess Mary Barra was saying that they give an incentive of, for $4,000, but will that last us all year and everything keeps going up? No.
Some people have to choose between rent and making a car payment. I mean,
so that's true across the board, right? So rents have been increasing not just in certain locations, but I think in everywhere in the United States. It's just not isolated in New York City or something. Rents are just expensive. One of the talking points that you hear the bosses at GM and Stellantis say is that, well, if we give them back COLA, it's untenable. We won't be able to afford it. We might face bankruptcy again. But at the same time, they're giving themselves raises, right? The CEOs have all increased their pay this past year. So what's the, obviously greed is part of that, but what would you say to the American public that they don't, that kind of to respond to that where they would understand your side of the story better?
I would say, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have been made those huge profits so that they could get those incentives, and that they promised us when we caved, and gave them something, that they would give us something back once they got the profits, and they haven't came through with that. So, Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to come join us, or no? Right, I'm going to just say it again.
We deserve this because the corporate greed is ridiculous. We deserve equal pay for equal day's work. No more tears. As our bodies break annually, every night and day in this place, making the profits for this company, we deserve more. It needs to end.
Yeah, see, their president taking concessions. I mean, she would argue for her pay. But it's not right for us to argue for ours.
Yeah, no, that doesn't seem fair, does it? It seems very one-sided.
Because when she's asked about it, she totally changes the subject. Because they were asked about her pay, and she's like, oh, she changed the subject. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
It's okay for us, but not okay
not
for you.
She sort of digressed to this point of I'm being paid on my performance. I'm like, okay, $28 million of performance. Give me a break there.
And not saying that she doesn't deserve it. Because she did turn the company around. However, we were initiators in that as well. So we deserve our equal share as well.
Right. So I think the argument here isn't that we should be paid equally as a CEO. I don't think anyone's claiming that.
No.
The question is, really, does it need to be 350 times your average worker's salary? If you go back to the late 1960s, that differential was only 20 times. So we've gone from 20 times to 350, 400 times of an increase, and that doesn't seem tenable to me, honestly. You can't keep increasing that.
Toyota, I think they're 1.62 million is their CEO. Right. And she's already made it clear that her pay comes from how well the company does. Well, how well the company does is how well we do. So where does she think how well the company's coming from?
And you're only as good as your employees.
Yeah. Well, which they're about to find out, I think. A lot of the workers that have been here for a long period of times, they're very skilled in the sense they know what they're doing. They're fast. They're rapid. They know how to avoid accidents. They have safety training. When you have high company turnover, that's very expensive for a company, but they don't seem to be looking at that metric at all. And I feel like part of that is because they're constantly caught up in short-term well-being, not long-term well-being, stock market performance, things of this nature. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, same thing that you just said. They're caught up. Yeah, I endorse that. That's it. You said it just as fine. You said it well.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I don't. I agree.
Do any of your workers tell you about having to take second jobs to make ends meet? Tell me about that.
I work at a school.
Okay.
And I worked there before I got the job here, and everybody's like, why are you still working there? I'm like, it pays my car payment. I mean...
Wait, hang on. Let's stop for a second. You work for General Motors, and you have a second job in order to pay for your car payment. Think about the irony of that for one moment.
Yes. The cars are made, I mean, they went with the cost of living as well. So, you're paying $80,000 for a vehicle, and we can't afford it, and we're GM workers. So where does that add up?
COLA. Let's talk about COLA for a second. For folks that don't know what COLA is, that's the cost of living adjustments that you used to have prior to the 2008-2009 negotiation. That would be an automatic amount of money that would be added to your pay based on the rate of inflation, more or less. One of the arguments the bosses are making is that, well, in the broader economy, if wages continue to increase, even though they haven't been increasing at all, they're stagnant or depressed, that's going to make inflation worse. But there's an absolute disconnect here. Inflation is terrible right now, and wages are depressed. They haven't been increased yet. That's why you're out here striking. So help me out here with the logic. I need some help. Help me.
I think if they would give us the increase and give us, for the inflation, then the people puts back into the economy. And, the inflation would probably go down at that point because we're spending the money. We're buying the products, and and it does great for the economy.
You are making a very, 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 very excellent point, let me tell you. If you want to save capitalism, right, we live in a capitalist economy. The extremes of capitalism are what we're witnessing currently with this income inequality, right? But your point is really valid. Capitalist economies are driven by consumption. They don't grow unless people are spending money. That's just, that actually is an economic fact, if there is such a thing as an economic fact, the dismal science. But if there's not enough expendable income in your hands, you are also consumers. You're not just workers here at this plant. You're consumers that contribute to that. So if you don't have expendable income, and I don't have expendable income, and he doesn't, and they don't, who are they selling the widgets to?
The one percenters. The people who can afford it, I guess,
Right. The people that have 27 yachts. But do they need 28 yachts, 29 yachts, 30 yachts? Where are we going with this?
I just don't want to have to struggle week to week.
I feel you. You don't need 27 yachts?
No, I don't even need one. I don't need none. I just want everything to be fair.
You just want everything to be fair. I think that is the message that we're hearing here out on the picket line, right? We just want to be able to spend time with our families, pay our rent, buy some food, enjoy a night out every now and then, and not stress about having those things.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
Say that again.
Like, what bill am I going to have to pay this week? We shouldn't have to think like that. We should be able to be comfortable. We're not asking to be rich. We're just asking to be comfortable.
I get it. I want to shift to politicians in general for a second here. Not politics, politicians. I love your reaction. That's the right reaction. We're entering an election cycle, so everybody's coming out here wanting their photo ops. They want to say they're standing with the workers. I don't see anybody in particular standing with the workers whatsoever. Some less so, some more so. There's a scale on that. I'm not going to say they're all bad and terrible and nobody cares, but there's definitely a part of me that is, how many times are you going to tell workers you're going to stand with them, help them out, give them lip service, then get into office and not actually do or change anything, which is why, again, you're out here, on the pavement right now. So next week is going to be like a boom for this, right? You've got Biden coming in Tuesday. You do have Dr. Cornel West coming in Monday or Tuesday. I think he's probably the one guy that does care. He's running for the Green Party, so, third-party candidate. And then you have Trump that is doing this thing instead of participating in the GOP debate. You know, he was saying last week, or maybe even just a couple of days ago, that your boss, Sean Fain, or your president, I should say, Sean Fain, was selling you down the river. You know, this is a guy that had originally campaigned on being populist, pro-worker. I'm going to stop American companies from outsourcing jobs, but he didn't do any of that, and I think that's pretty obvious to anyone that's been paying attention. So this is a very long-winded explanation for me to get to the point of, do you feel like just in general in politics, they don't care?
They want to say what they think you want to hear, and then just to get that vote.
That's about it, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything to add?
I think I stand with Sean Fain on this. You know, show me what you're going to do instead of telling me. You know.
Hang on. That is a good point. So Sean Fain made the point, I'm not going to endorse any presidential candidate or any politician unless they show me, I'm now the show me stage. Show me what you're going to do for my workers first, then I will consider this. I think that's kind of what set Trump off, honestly, because he refused to, and Trump was on social, Truth Social, like, he should be endorsing me, and he made it all about him. I mean, and then, but at the same, on the same side, you know, Biden could have had pushed harder to get the PRO Act passed. The PRO Act would have kind of changed the course of right-to-work laws in states that have them. You know, for folks that don't know what right-to-work laws are, we should probably explain that a little bit. You know, right-to-work laws basically allow people to benefit from union contracts without being union members. They can refuse to be a union member, not pay dues, but still reap the benefits of having that union contract to protect them, which was initially designed. The reason that those laws came to be was because they thought they could use them to bankrupt the unions and take away worker power. That's kind of the history there. So that should be addressed in one way or another. The PRO Act is an opportunity for that to happen. It was passed in the House of Representatives, stagnant again in the Senate. At the time, the Democrats did have a majority there, but they did not have a filibuster-proof majority, which is generally the problem, right? Again, a long-winded explanation as to why I'm just wondering, at what point do politicians stop giving the lip service and actually do something? Is there any of them out there that you think actually care? Like, what's your personal feeling on that?
I really don't have one because nobody has showed me anything. So once I'm still there, show me, and then I can endorse it. But if there's no proof in the pudding, then...
Not one side.
Yeah.
We're not with just this person. Show me, and then I'll see where my vote's going to go.
Right, you know, and I think a lot of Americans feel that way. The majority of Americans are really independents. They're not, you know, part of a giant base on either side. Sometimes I like to say that the divide necessarily isn't this, but it's this, and I think that's what people are feeling right now. But the politicians don't seem to really understand that. So the very last thing we should really talk about is the media, my profession. I'll be the first to take the pot shot at us. I have no problem doing that. You know, I've worked for networks. I've worked for independent. I do independent now. Jordan Sheraton, my boss, is the same. He's worked at Fox, MSNBC, others. He started this, you know, a few years back because, you know, we both see clearly that there are problems inherent with the corporate media. Part of that is that there's been you know, in the way that there's been consolidation in your industry, there has been in ours. So you've got 6 large corporations that pretty much control even the local news at this point. They obviously have a vested interest in selling a certain company line for corporations. And I think part of it, too, is we really need to talk about this. News didn't used to be a for-profit entity. It was about public service, right? Public trust, informing the public, having a commitment to veracity. But now they're all interested in getting those ad dollars. So GM, we're here at a GM facility. GM spends a lot of money advertising on cable news. And I'm going to say this equally. I don't care if it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox. Obviously, Fox is a little bit worse than the others. But go ahead, I said it. I said it. Full disclosure, I actually worked for Fox Local 20 years ago. Before they became what they are today. But, you know, we've sort of lost our way in the sense that we don't have a commitment to veracity necessarily. I think a lot of what ends up on cable news is just coming off of a press release, whether it's just a company's press release, whether it's a police officer's press release, whether it's the easy way out. It's more profitable for them to not send journalists out on the street to do what I'm doing with you here today, or to knock on doors. Doing real journalism requires a real time commitment and investigation, right? All right, so again, me being long-winded, I've had too much coffee today. What is your feelings on the media is the first question I want to ask you on this. And then the second question, I want to give you an opportunity to correct any of the really atrocious things you've heard media people say about you folks, about the strikes, and about, labor in general in the country.
Well, from what I've been hearing, I think that they have it all wrong. I think they're siding with the one percenters, with GM, and it's not a one-sided issue. Again, we give them the money to pay the press, so where's the balance in this? Only thing, we're asking for what we're owed. That's it. We don't want no more, no less. We just want what we're worth and what we work for. That's it. So, and they're not giving us, they're saying that we're greedy. We're bankrupting the economy, and that's not the case. Because if you give it to us, we're going to put it back into everybody. But if you don't want to give it to us, then everybody's going to lose.
I think everybody has a misconception. You work at GM, you work at Ford, you work at Stellantis, you got all this money. That's not true. People really don't know what's made. They just listen to the media that we're greedy, we're this. We had people driving by yelling, get back to work. They have no idea what kind of income we have, what we make. They're only going by off of what the media has told them. And a person starting out here is only making $16 an hour. You can make that at McDonald's.
Yep. No.
So, people don't know that. They think old school GM, grandma and grandpa making all this big money, and it's not like that anymore. So, people don't.
It's not like that. Right.
Don't know. Do you guys have any parting thoughts that you want to share with people?
Solidarity.
Yeah, let's get that.
Right.
Come out and support us. If you believe that we do need the equal pay for the equal amount of work that we do, come out and support us. We would love to have you. Thank you guys so much for the supporters, and God bless you.
Right on.
Same.
You endorse that?
I endorse that.
Thank you guys for talking with us. Did any of you guys want to talk with us? Are you camera shy? You want to talk to us? Right on. Don't be camera shy. What is your name?
Tressa Stewart.
And how long have you worked here at this facility?
4 years now.
4 years now.
Yes.
So when you were hired in, did you come in first as a temp and then go full-time? Are you still a temp? What's your status?
Yes, I'm full-time at this point. Okay. Yes, it took almost 2 years, about 18 months.
Right. Okay, so that here I'm learning is the standard is 2 years at this particular GM plant. They're different everywhere. It's a little bit confusing.
Yes.
What is your personal story? What financial hardships do you have that you could share with folks?
Well, basically right now with what we have going on at this point, we're kind of living from check to check, just to pay bills, groceries, gas, everything that's so expensive now. So it's a decent living, but some of us are still living from check to check.
It's decent, but could be better. Yes, part of it, I think COLA would actually take care of that, right? If you had a cost of living increase.
Yes, that would take care of a lot of that.
So I'm pretty sure that COLA is, if it's not on the table, there's going to be no contract.
Correct. Yes.
We actually talked to a guy yesterday that was making the case that, I've been with the UAW 10, 15 years. I can't remember what it was. But he was saying we've always voted yes because our union bosses say vote yes. And he's like, maybe once we should just vote no matter what it is to see what they do. What do you think about that?
Well, I figure if you're giving us something decent, then we won't need to say no.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah, so if it's not decent, then yes, it's a no.
Media-wise, do you have thoughts on some of the stuff we were talking about a second ago, media-wise? Do you feel like there's anything you're hearing that you want to correct the record on?
I think that people do get it, misunderstood, that we're trying to bankrupt the company and all of that. I don't believe that. I believe they have a real whole big piece of pie, and we just want a piece of it.
Right. No, they do. They're very profitable.
Yes.
I want to bring up, there was an op-ed that was in the Detroit Free Press from the GM President Mark Roos. This was, did you read this?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give you my 2-second thought on that, and I want to hear what your thoughts are since you've read it. I felt like he was trying to make the case that 85% of the employees are doing okay, so just it's misinformation to talk about this other 15%. That's just, why are you guys spreading misinformation? Strikes don't work. But he seems to fundamentally not understand what a union is. A union isn't about supporting only 85% of their members. It's about supporting 100%, everybody in, right?
Exactly. Every opinion and every person and percentage matters, because without them, we're not a whole.
So did his op-ed make you mad?
Yeah, it was a little irritating because you have to be in our shoes and walk in our shoes to know what we deal with. We work hard and we bring this company a lot of money. And so we just want our fair share of it. That's it.
Right. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a strange way. I don't think anybody reading that is going to go, okay, that's a winning argument. I mean, his last words were strikes don't work, and I'm thinking to myself, but they do work. Look at every labor gain we've had over the decades was because of strikes.
Some gain from it. So
we can start with the 40-hour work week.
That's right. That's right. I'm all in favor of it. As if we can do less hours and get the same money, fine, but we're willing to be here for 40 hours and do a decent day's of work for a decent day of pay.
So now at this particular facility, let me know is there like crazy shift things going on like some of the other Stellantis places? People are working 12-hour shifts, then they're on call. They show up for work, 2 days later for their shift, and they get let go to go home, and they say, no, you have to work a different day. Like, there's a lot of confusion around that. Do you have that problem here?
No, we don't have that problem here. They usually let you volunteer if you want to. So it has been some days where 9 hours been mandated, and so you can VOS for the 10th hour. But I personally have not heard of anybody doing 12s, probably because we got the 3 shifts now. So you got first, second, and third shift here now. So
Explain that to us.
Well, first shift comes in early, like 7, and then they're leaving at 3. And so I'm second shift, so I'm 3:30, and then we usually leave here around about 11:30. Okay. And so your third shift comes in, I believe, at 11, and I believe it's 11 to 7. So.
Oh, wow. So this particular facility is running 24 hours a day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So are you guys out here picketing 24 hours a day as they are in some places? Okay. That's awesome. You guys need some burn barrels. Where's your burn barrels?
I was bringing them in this evening. Somebody had some last night, so they're bringing them back tonight. Yes, you definitely got that right. People are so kind-hearted and bringing wood and, just bringing food and things. It's just beautiful to see the community care, about what we care about. Just standing out here and standing up for ourselves.
So politics-wise, you've heard some of the discussion we were having over here. What are your thoughts on that stuff?
Yes, I'm basically a Democratic person, and so not necessarily that I, pick either side, because I believe there's good on each side. And so whoever's going to get in there and actually do what they say, I'm all for it. So.
That actually makes sense to me. If somebody comes along, even if they were at the Purple Spotted Leopard Party, and they're going to pass the PRO Act, they're going to help me in my negotiations for real. Like, instead of saying to me, you don't get to strike anymore, why aren't they saying that to the bosses? Like in the railroad strike, why isn't the conversation about what they're doing versus what the workers need?
As it should be.
So some random party, some guy shows up and he does that, he'd be the person you voted for, right?
Yes. Yes, definitely. Somebody that could put their money where their mouth at.
Right. No, I feel that. Wow. So is there anything else that people should know about that you think isn't getting talked a lot yet out in there in the media world?
Not so much. It's a lot of media on everything right now. So I think that it's getting its fair share, but just the people that just work hard, we deserve better.
Right on. Thank you for talking with us. Are you sure you're too shy? What is your name?
Jacob.
Jacob, how long have you worked here at this GM facility?
I've worked here since September 2021.
Okay, so you've been here for a couple years. Are you still temp or you're on the cusp?
I got hired in July.
You got hired in July, okay.
Yep.
So now in your mind, what is the most important thing that you guys need to get out of this contract?
I mean, it's looking up right now, but for me, I think it's the tiers. Yeah, because right now we're capped at $25 an hour, and that's not enough.
No, it's not. So you're saying the highest pay you can get, no matter how long you've been here, is $25 an hour?
depends on your tier, but for people, I believe it's before the 2015 contract,
Okay.
they can only make $25 an hour right now.
Okay.
And that's a problem.
Now, the tier system is really messed up. You have people making all various types of salaries for the exact same job, and that seems incredibly unfair just superficially.
I think that's just a way to divide the union, you know. It's a way to push the contract through, you know. If they can't get everybody, they just want to get the majority.
The 85%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is sort of the argument that your GM president was making in his op-ed, that it's the majority, it's not everybody. And I think that fundamentally miscalculates what a union's job is. I feel very strongly about that, by the way. Let me ask you this, political-wise, do you see any problems with these guys showing up looking for op-eds? Do you think one party maybe is better than the other? Do you think they're all just messed up and not doing anything to help labor? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I personally like politics. Like, I don't really get into politics. I think everyone's looking for a political gain there, so I don't get into that too much.
What thing would you like to address that's out there in the media that you think is incorrect or not being kind of talked about in the proper way?
I mean, I feel like, you know, like you've been talking about before, how they think we're trying to bankrupt the company. Like, I think the numbers are manipulated in such a way that they act like the company's not profitable, and I just have a hard time believing that.
Oh, no, it's definitely profitable. And in fact, one of the things that Mark said also in this op-ed is he was making this argument about capital investment, which is he's basically saying, I'm taking these profits that we're getting, these billions of dollars of profits, and I'm spending all of that money and more in building new facility and upgrading equipment. But yet, when you go back and look at the company statements, the number that he gave is like double what you could find as capital investments on the company statements. So I'm not sure where that number is coming from. It doesn't seem like it's accurate to me. So yeah, I mean, that's not investing in people though, right?
Yeah, no, I think you should invest in your employees. I mean, who's making all the money for them? Like, the salary workers aren't doing it, that's for sure.
Let's talk about that, too, because now they're threatening, at least at Stellantis, I don't know if GM's talking about it, but they're talking about bringing salaried workers in to take your jobs while you're out here picketing. You know, in John Deere, when they did strikes, John Deere threatened that same thing, did that same thing, and it ended up being an absolute disaster for the company. There were forklifts being driven into walls. Accidents were happening. The productivity rates were lower because these folks weren't as trained as you guys were. So...
Well, I know last strike, I wasn't here for it, but I've heard a lot about it, and I know management was striking there, and I believe they said it took about 6 months to recuperate from everything that management messed up. You know, that they don't put their stamp numbers on anything, so they don't take accountability for when they do mess stuff up. So...
Wow, that's wild. So management was trying to step into your jobs. They couldn't quite get it done properly. And then on top of that, they wouldn't be accountable. So I'm assuming you guys have a number that's your employee number so everybody knows. So they're not using their employee numbers, so they can't trace who messed up what if they're doing this? Is that what
Yeah, no, it's just a way of, you know, now they can't discipline anybody. That's the whole point of the stamp numbers. It's a way of knowing who did what and knowing who's responsible. So... you know, if there's a process deviation or anything, management would be the one that addresses that. But I guess, you know, when it is management, you know, why would they want to address it?
Okay, I'm just going to add that to the list of crazy things I've heard. They're not going to be accountable for their actions. In fact, maybe some of them might even try to blame other people for them. That's really sad. What other things would you like to add to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
All right, well, I thank you for not being shy and talking to us. I appreciate that. Good luck on your strike.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think let me check our super chats and whatnot. I want to give some.
Let me get the mic while you're checking that. Let me get the mic. Hey guys, listen. Jordan keeps reminding us. Just this reporting is very expensive. Let me see. Hold on one second. We've been out here for 9 days, right? We want to be out here longer. So please smash the like button right now. Share this stream. And if you're not a member already, please become a member of Status Coup, statuscoup.com/join. And if you can't do the $5 to $10 a month, it's statuscoup.com/donate. Yeah.
Right on. So, and speaking of, I want to call out some of our new members, and also I got a message from Colin after we exited live last night. Some donations we got. I'm gonna read those super chats as well. So our website donations, we got $10 from Thomas. Thank you for covering the strike and standing in solidarity with the workers. Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. $50 from Bonnie. Wow, that's generous. Thank you, Bonnie. We appreciate it. Important work. Stay with it. We are going to hit up as many of these locations as we can. $20 from M. Thank you for real reporting. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate that. $5 from Chris. Thank you, Chris. And then we have on our website 2 new Status Coup members there, Melanie and June. All right, so we're out here. This is the Burton facility. It's really close to Flint. Flint is literally 1 block over from us. So Flint, Michigan area. This is a GM plant, parts distributions plant. So this is one of the 38 locations that went on strike as of noon Friday that were added to the original locations. You know, GM, they've been a big donator of advertising across the board on cable news. I think that does figure into the conversation when you look at how these things are reported on. Obviously, if it affects your bottom line, it's going to affect how you do your coverage. So we have at other locations, we have strike teams at various entrances. We're going to walk down and talk to some folks down here at this one. We've got some kids playing here in the middle. Their parents are probably out here striking. And then further down, we have another strike team here. This is a really large facility. So let's head down. Did you guys want to talk to us? No? You're good? Did you guys want to talk to us?
You can if you want. No, she's just here with me.
I like your glasses.
I work here. She's just my daughter. She's helping support. Yeah.
Do you want to talk to us about a little bit?
I guess
Amy
I'm
shy,
but I can.
What's your name?
My name's Amy Ross.
Amy, how long have you been here at this particular plant?
Over 17 years.
Okay, so you're a veteran.
I'm a veteran. I'm an OG.
Let me ask you this. It seems there's been a lot of changes over the years. Maybe some folks have this idea of GM being like the way it used to be, where it was, you know, a smaller business. People cared about their workers. Now it's this massive conglomerate. Corporate profits are what's driving it. Have you seen changes through the period of time that you've worked here?
Absolutely. I think that with the times grow more, they want more electronics in here, more automated stuff, which we feel that kind of takes our jobs away. But I get you have to be with the times and everything. But I mean, I think that what an automated robot could do, a person could do just as good.
Right. So that's interesting. Nobody's brought that point up yet. They are automating some of this plant, bringing in robots. You know, there's a group of folks that work in tech and politics that have been arguing about a UBI, which is a universal basic income. They think that eventually that's going to be the law of the land where everything's a robot. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're arguing because that's the case, we need to start paying workers a monthly stipend, just that's it, for no other reason, no strings attached, to make up for that. It's an interesting concept. I'm not sure if it'll go anywhere. But I don't.
We hope not. We hope not. We like our jobs. So.
I was just going to say that, but what I'm hearing from most of the workers is they actually enjoy their jobs. They just want to get a fair pay out of it.
Yes. I drive a forklift, and I've been doing it for 15 years now. And I enjoy it. But
okay. We have a badass chick here. She drives a forklift.
Yeah, I've been doing that for 15 years. So I enjoy my job. I like coming to work. Some of the things I think should be a little bit different, but
what are some of those things? Can you talk about it?
I agree that we should get more higher pay. I mean, the inflation is just out of this world right now. And I know that everyone thinks that we're selfish and greedy because we're fighting for this, but what they don't realize is that our grandparents and our great-grandparents did the same thing many years ago, and they actually stood with them. We're just doing the same thing, except back then where it was like a nickel, now it's like $1.25.
Right, no.
So
I mean, so I was checking out labor data on the Bureau of Labor, stats, and auto workers' wages are actually depressed adjusted for inflation. So if you look over the last 2 decades, it's negative 20%. That's a drop. That's a sizable drop. That's not a small amount.
Yeah, that's why I think that this fight is so important, because we're trying to be equal. We're trying to get a better wage so we can support our families, so we don't have to stress as much. Like, I have to work a lot because I have 2 children at home, and I do it on my own. So all the overtime, I shouldn't have to work all this overtime to be able to afford a lot of regular life things.
Plus, that takes your time away from spending it with your children when you can be doing something fun with them.
Absolutely. And I enjoy, my kids do sports, so I try not to miss anything of theirs. So, I agree that we should deserve a better increase in pay.
So it sounds like increase in pay is important, and also bringing back COLA.
COLA. I started in 06. The ones of us that started in 06 got our pensions taken away. We weren't too happy about that, so we would like to see those come back eventually, and who knows, maybe in the future it will. But COLA's a big one. The cost of living is it would help a lot with a lot of things.
Right, no. Does GM for this facility have a profit sharing plan, or is that something that's on the table? I'm curious to know.
They do have a profit sharing plan, yes. So the end of February, beginning of March, we get a profit share depending upon their sales and how much we get. The last contract, there was no cap, but we got a decent amount. We get good profit sharings, but unfortunately that's not on the table right now. So we would like that to be on the table again. It helps because we look forward to that. So we take our vacations with that. We help support our family if something breaks down, like a car or house maintenance. It helps so much if they could just see the little picture, the big picture instead of just a little picture.
No, 100% get that. Let me ask you this. There's been a lot of, kind of misinformation floating out there in the world, as there often is. Is there something in particular that you've been hearing on the news, media, whatever, that you think is incorrect, that you would just makes you want to scream?
Oh, goodness.
Is this a where do I begin moment?
It is. Like I said, a lot of people think that we're just being greedy, and they just misconstrue that. I wish that they would look at what's around them instead of just what's on the picture. They think that they gave us a contract that was wonderful to start with. It's not. I just wish that, they would take a minute to look at what we go through on a daily basis rather than what they go through. They don't go through what we do. They need to look at the little people instead of the big people.
Which is why I'm out here doing this right now. I agree with you. I think the more people hear from you folks, the more they hear your stories, some of the hardships, some of the low pay. Guys that have been working as temp employees for 5 years, which is crazy.
That's not here.
Yeah, no,
we don't have temps here for 5 years. I know that there were some. Our cap's 2 years, which I agree with. I think that's awesome. However, I think it should be shorter.
Yeah, no, I think Sean Fain is asking for 90 days across the board. That makes sense to me. I think that's pretty standard that you're 90-day probation, full-time employed. That is standard. The fact that they were been milking this tiered system for a decade now is just crazy. Actually, over a decade. What am I saying? It's kind of crazy. It's good that you guys are down to 2 years. Stellantis, I think, has a much higher. We literally talked to people at the Jeep plant that for one guy, 7 years, still a temp employee. I couldn't believe it.
That is awful. I agree with the 90 days. Yeah. I agree with the 90 days. I think that's substantial for them. They know whether or not they're going to work out or if they're not by 90 days.
Right. I also think it's good that Sean Fain, and I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this. I feel like Sean Fain is working here to get all three on board with the same provisions in all the contracts. So standard, you all get COLA back, not up for debate. Standard, the pay increase is not up for debate. Standard, the temp thing goes away, 90 days. So I think he's going for sort of that kind of thing, which we haven't seen in the past. What are your thoughts on how he's handling the negotiations, strikes, all of it?
I think that he's a brilliant man, actually. I think that he did it. I think that it was well thought out. I think that the way that he put everybody and set in the motion, it's like a domino effect. I think that he is doing a very wonderful job at negotiating our contract for us. I'm very thankful for him.
He showed up at the picket line. We were down in center line in Warren yesterday, and there was a press gaggle there asking some not so great questions. I'll leave it at that. But he handled it so well. So well. I was quite impressed with the way he was handling the press. And, and when he ended it, he made the point of saying, don't even talk to me anymore. Talk to my workers. Please go and talk to them. Get their stories. And he's right about that, because I'm even learning stuff I didn't know. Each time I talk to a new worker, I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
I think that the way he is handling it is very, very well thought out. I think that he's not aggressive with anything. I think that it's very well played. I think that we have a very good future with what he's trying to get done. And I'm grateful. I'm very grateful.
Thank you for talking with us. Appreciate that. Nice to meet you. Love your glasses. Get a shot of her glasses. They're kind of cool, right? Yeah. I'm Tina. Status Coup. We've been out. Go to our YouTube channel. You'll see. In fact, we had an interview with Sean a couple days ago, too.
Well, thank you guys for taking time out of your day. Thank
Absolutely.
you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So I love that we have some kids here in the middle. Get a shot of that. Having a good time as they are striking. All right, we've got some super chats I want to read. Also, please smash that like button and share the stream. That helps us grow. It's really important that we grow. Being out here on the road like this does cost us a lot of money. So if you can't afford to join as a member, please do. We would really appreciate it. As Jordan would say to me right now, please tell people that if you can't beg, that I'll beg. I'm not much of a marketing person. I'm a reporter. I'm good at my reporting. I get a little gun shy about doing marketing just because it's just not in my nature. But so please, if you can join as a member, please do so. You can do so on our website, statuscoup.com/member, I believe. There's also a donation area there, or as a YouTube member. We would appreciate it. It would keep us out on the road longer. I think Jordan's thinking about coming back when I leave, I think on Tuesday. So, all of that costs money. So please consider it. And I love that we have these kids in the background. Wait, actually, so Jordan wants me to read his message. Jordan sent a super chat. So Jordan says, folks, I'm trying to come back to continue our on-the-ground reporting when Tina goes home, but funding is tough already, 9 days out there. Please support, if you can, for $5 to $10 bucks a month if you can. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder, Jordan. And thank you for the $10. All right, let's go ahead down here and talk to some of these guys at the other end of the picture.
If you can't tell, we're the only ones out here, right, Tina?
Yeah,
There's no other news crew.
No, there's no news crew here, and because of the air we're in, I doubt that they'll even bother leaving the Detroit metro area. Quite frankly,
right.
We're good 2 hours north of Detroit right now.
Right.
And again, I know this has nothing to do with the auto workers, but Flint, we're a block away from the Flint border. Flint still doesn't have clean water. Jordan Sheraton has been somebody that's on the edge of reporting with the Flint water crisis from day one. So I know that he has a love for this area. He spent a lot of time here. So in addition to, these workers out here fighting for their workers' rights, we still don't have clean water here. All right. I want to open up, hang on, as I awkwardly do this. I want to open up the super chats from last night that we missed. Hold that thought. All right, here we go. All right, so last night, and I apologize for this, but I got the email after we had not been live any further. So YouTube members, we have Robert Gonzalez. Thank you, Robert, for joining. We appreciate that. We have some very generous super chats here from Marina Vallejo. She gave us $50. Thank you, Marino. I appreciate that. Bob E., $4.99. Thanks for all you do. Stay strong. One love from Brooklyn. Thank you, Bob. Do you know Bob? What? You know Bob? Oh, you're from Brooklyn. That's right. Michael Reish, to help bring your effort to visualize our misery to the internet, this is just the beginning. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate that, $27. Robert Gonzalez, when you also joined as a member, gave us $5. Thank you, Status Coup News, for supporting the UAW and reporting honestly, unlike the dishonest corporate media propaganda machine. Local 862, so this is a union member. Robert, we appreciate that. I know that's got to be really generous for you to be giving money right now as you guys are getting ready to go on strike. We appreciate it. All right, so we're going to head over here to, oftentimes you'll see these spread out. It's because these are various locations where trucks could come in. So at each one of these locations, they have a group of strikers. Lots of support. You can hear the people honking. All right. All right, somebody come talk to me. We've interviewed everybody over there. Oh, come on, don't be shy. What is that? I see that shy look. Are you sure? No? You're good? You want to come talk to us a little bit? Right on. What is your name?
Tierra.
Tierra, how long have you worked here at this GM facility?
It'll be 4 years next month.
So here they have a 2-year probation period and then you're full-time, so you're already a full-time employee.
Yes. Yes, I am.
I have to make sure I get this straight because each one of these companies has a different probation period. You seem to have a better one than Stellantis does. We talked to some workers at Stellantis that are still temporary after 7 years. I'm not kidding you. It's crazy. Frustrating. What is the main reason, speaking of, that you're out here on the picket line? If you had to pick one of the issues that are on the table, and there's a bunch.
We're trying to end tears.
Yeah, and tears.
Yeah, we're trying to end tears. Cola, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to get everybody equal throughout the whole GM, Status, Ford, trying to get everybody on the same page right now.
You know, that would be a big win. It seems like Sean's negotiations are headed in that direction. Instead of GM, Stellantis, Ford all having different kinds of contracts, there would be some sort of universal UAW contract where there's only 90 days temporary, no more tiers at all. COLA comes back into play, all of that stuff.
Yeah, right now I think the main thing is to try to get everybody on the same page. I mean, I know there are different factories, different companies under different contracts, so we're trying to get them somewhat to agree. Centralize everything. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Because this is a CCA plant, so we're not on the same contract as the production. So right now we're trying to end different. Like our pay wage is different from the production pay wage. We are GM employees. We're trying to get everybody on the same page right now.
Right. Okay. So CCA, that's parts and distribution only?
Yes, parts and distribution. Production and parts and distribution, they're on the different tiers as far as pay wage. So that's what we're trying to do, get them on the same pay wage and then get all the big three and other companies associated with us all together under the same roof, basically.
Okay, so you guys, so the difference is just so I'm understanding the technicals, I want to make sure everybody watching understands. So the assembly plants, production plants, that's where they're actually putting the vehicles together inside those shops. What you guys are doing here is this is where the parts go from the facilities to the dealerships, whatever. So, yeah, why shouldn't everybody be on the same page?
Right. Well, we're all GM employees. I don't see the difference. We are union members. We pay our union dues. We work. So we work 6 days a week. We're away from our family. So I don't see why we shouldn't be getting the same pay wages.
I agree. 6 days a week, is that common?
Yes. When I first started, it was on 7 days. 7 days, 10 hours a day for 7 months. Yeah, so yeah, it's common. They're going to make it common when we come back from strike. They'll probably be on 7 days again. So you never know with GM. So.
And you can't refuse to work 7 days a week. You're not allowed to say I need a day off. What would happen if you said I can't work 7 days a week?
I mean, contractually speaking, that they can't make us work. So we just trying to get everybody on the same page. Yeah, we try to get everybody on the same page. That's pretty much what we're doing out here.
Honestly, is that even legal? I mean, I'm sure it is, but
yeah.
But what kind of life do you have if you're literally working 7 days a week?
That's what we out here striking for, equality, so we can have more time with our family, have equal pay. That's really what we out here doing.
Right on. So one of the things, speaking of quality of life, Sean was talking about possibly pushing for a 32-hour work week, which would be 4 days a week. Now, a lot of pushback came from cries from all over America, like, what? But, that's pretty common, actually, in most European countries to have a 32-hour work week. It's not this crazy new invented thing. And basically what's driving that is this idea that quality of life matters. If you're a happy person, the time you spend at work, you're far more productive doing that job. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, morale. I mean, like you gotta have happy workers. I mean, happy customers. Or you gotta have happy workers because somebody's gonna want to be joyful about coming to work. They're gonna want to push out more parts. Want to do more every day. And so that's better what it is. Morale.
Also, more loyalty. I mean, if I had a 4-hour, I'd be like, yeah, I'm totally loyal to that company.
Yeah. If it was under better circumstances, people would be happy. Now, with the cost of living, you gotta stress a lot. So about working outside of work and doing other things. I have 2 jobs.
Right. No. So we're hearing that a lot too. People have second jobs. I'm assuming you don't because you're working every day here like crazy. You have to wait.
Yeah, I have 2 jobs as well. I work third shift. When I get off, I go to work as well. So, yeah.
So wait, hang on. Seriously, you're working 10 hours here and then going to another job after that, or how does that?
I work 8 hours here. I get off at 7 and I go to work at 9. So, yeah.
How seriously? How common is this?
There's a lot of common. You'll find a lot of people here that's working more than one job. Yeah, you'll find a lot of people here. I thought it wasn't, but when I started working, I told people I was working, so they were like, yeah. A lot of people got more jobs.
That should not have to be the case. That's really unfortunate. Let me ask you about media's role in all of this. Sometimes you probably flip on the news and you hear something being told to the viewing public that you find to be annoying, untrue. What is one of the worst examples of that?
I mean, everybody's going to have your own opinion. I mean, I had my opinion until I started working here, so unless you know, you don't know. Unless you know spending holidays or spending time away from your family, missing events and missing stuff because you're working, you wouldn't know. So I wouldn't expect for them to understand until they're in the position. You wouldn't understand until you know. So,
which is why we're actually out here doing this. I think the more folks hear from the workers here, they understand why you're striking in the first place. This is the last resort. It's not everybody got up one day like, hey, that'll be fun. Let's go on strike. No, you were pushed into this position, I think.
I think nobody wants to strike. This is the last position. I'd rather be at work. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather get but if this is what we got to do to get where was equalized to be able to not have to work 2 jobs, and that's what we have to do. That's what we all outside for right now.
Right on. Any parting words that you would want to share?
And
tears. All right. Stand up and tears. No more. This is great. No more second-class workers. That's sort of what the tier system does, doesn't it?
That's where we are right now. That's
if you,
we all out here.
Yeah. If you have 2 people doing the same exact job and one's making like $5 less an hour, that is absolutely a second-class worker.
Yes. Right UAW strong.
Right on.
Local 651. Guys.
Oh wait. Speaking of, hang on. I got to mention this. So we went over to the Union Hall to use the restroom. Okay. You guys have this absolutely hilarious sign in the parking lot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I haven't been there yet.
Oh, okay. There's a sign in the parking lot that basically says, if you're driving a foreign vehicle...
you got to park in the back. You can't. We're definitely loyal to our cut. To GM, we're definitely loyal to GM. I would drive a GM car right now, so we're definitely loyal.
So the sign basically says, if you're driving a foreign vehicle, you have to park in the furthest parking spot away from the door, and if you don't, you're going to get towed.
Even though strike, we're still loyal.
Looks like a local politician's down there. Do you want to go down there and?
Yeah. All right. So maybe can you see who that is down there? No. All right. Well, let's go check it out. Well, okay. We'll be right back. We're gonna go check out the photo op that's going on down here. I'm gonna call it that. We'll be back. Okay, yeah, it does look like that could be a local politician of some sort. Let's see what's going on down here. It is election season, so they are definitely popping up on the picket lines. Again, please share the stream, like it. If you can afford to become a member, we would appreciate you becoming a member. If you can't subscribe, that's helpful too. We want to keep doing what we're doing out here. We don't take corporate donations, so we rely on you folks. Hi! Say hi! Yes! All right, on. Who are our visitors today?
Other state representatives.
Okay, you guys want to talk to us a little bit? Do you want to talk to us?
Oh, and this is our union president.
Yeah, if you want to.
Eric?
Yeah, this is our union president. Status Coup.
What's up, Larry? How you doing? How you doing? Good. I'm John.
Oh, sorry. I'm moving the line.
Everybody else going.
And then my baby. Oh, she's walking. So are these right there? Ain't no babies.
Yeah, where are they going to be posted?
Region 1 Facebook page.
The what? Is that what it's called? Yeah. I'm having friend you, Tammy. You know everybody.
All right, so while Tina's trying to establish an interview with one of the local representatives here, I'm going to remind you to smash the like button and share the stream. We can't do this reporting without you guys, so please donate, please subscribe, please become a member. We want to be out here covering for when Biden comes here, Cornel West, and Trump. You know, they're all coming for photo ops, but we'll be here to cover them. So we almost have about 500 people watching right now. Not sure how many people hit the like button, but please, let's get more.
So this is Dan Kelby, who is the congressman for this district. We're going to talk to him for a little bit. Hey, how are you, Dan?
Doing well. Thank you very much.
So you're obviously in front of the GM plan here. They went on strike noon Friday. This is one of the new 38 locations that Shawn Fain has expanded. Where do you stand with all the workers' rights and what's going on right now?
100% with the workers all the way. I mean, this is a situation where 14 years ago, these workers gave up a lot to help the companies get through the most difficult time of their history, bankruptcy for General Motors. They gave up a lot. The companies survived. Now the company's thriving. And what they're negotiating right now is to get their fair share of the wealth that they helped generate. And to me, it's just a matter of basic justice.
Now, it seems that that's the case. You know, in 2008, 2009, when they did that negotiation, they were facing bankruptcy, but these three companies did say, we're going to give you back everything we took away when we're profitable again. They're billions of dollars in profit, so that's not even up for debate. The CEOs are all giving themselves giant raises and not batting an eyelashes on that. So it seems reasonable that they get their COLA back. The tier system seems really messed up. What are your thoughts on the tier system?
I mean, that has to go. Look, it was difficult even for the UAW to accept it when it was put in, but they knew that they needed to do something to help the companies get through that really difficult period. But that was 14 years ago, you know, and billions of dollars in profits ago. And, you know, it's just long past time to get justice for the workers. The most important thing that I've been trying to communicate, though, is that these workers are not just out here for themselves. When they're getting a better contract, when they get better benefits, better pay, better worker protections, that sets a standard that the entire community benefits from. Back in 1936, the workers occupied the factories. They built the middle class. All we're trying to do now is take a page out of that history and rebuild the middle class, and we do it with organized labor.
Indeed. Let me ask you a question on government's role as far as when they give loans to some of these companies. I know Ford took out a rather large loan from the government. What is your opinion on actually attaching some strings to these loans at some point? I mean, maybe it's the case that, you know, we're going to give you a $30 billion loan to save you, but you can't export any more of these jobs to Italy. You can't export them. South Africa is a new location, whatever. What is government's role in all that, and do you see that changing anytime soon?
I hope it does. We shouldn't be ashamed of prioritizing the work for people who have a union contract, good wages, good benefits, good worker protections. You know, when I first wrote much of the legislation for these incentives, we included a union bonus. Basically what we said was, if this is a union shop, then the support the government's going to provide will be greater than if it's one of these factories that don't have the same kind of protections. We know the best benefits, the best protections, the best wages are going to be union jobs, and we ought to be rewarding that, encouraging it, and we ought to put our money where our mouth is.
All right, I'm going to ask you a difficult question now.
Right.
Hopefully you're on board for this. I want to throw back to NAFTA because I do think a lot of the problems we're seeing now with labor in the country, with outsourcings and whatnot, was rooted in NAFTA. Now, NAFTA, this is a two-party, uniparty thing here, right? So this was George Bush Sr.'s bill. He couldn't get it through. Bill Clinton was able to get it through. So you have both parties participating in something that really was difficult for labor. TPP was another one that came up and then disappeared again. What are your thoughts on this? I know generally politicians don't want to talk about NAFTA, but I do think it's a problem.
I don't mind talking about it. NAFTA was a huge mistake, and it resulted in the loss of jobs. And it had no protection for organized labor. And so what we need are trade deals that protect not only work here, but require countries that we're trading with to provide the same worker protections, the same kind of access to unions. Because we're not afraid of a global economy. We just don't want to put ourselves in a position where our workers are competing against exploited workers in other countries. So our trade agreements, it's one of the reasons I oppose TPP, is that it didn't have any mechanism in it that said we're going to lift up workers in the trading nations that we're engaging with. And so for me, trade is an important principle. We ought to be using it to export the best practices, not a race to the bottom.
Which is what it became, a race to the bottom for wages.
I mean, I've been to Mexico City to go to bat for the workers there, because we have to realize that the only way we make sure that everybody is benefiting is if people in other parts of the world can do the very same thing that these workers are doing out here, to walk out of the job and demand their fair share. In other parts of the world and in the United States, if some politicians had their way, you could get fired for trying to organize a union. And our trade deals ought to outlaw that, and that's what I continue to work for.
All right, that's a solid response. Let me ask you about the PRO Act, sort of dying on the vine right now in Congress. This is right-to-work laws have been very detrimental to the labor union. For folks that don't know what those are, right-to-work is when you have members that are working under union contracts but are not participating in the union, not paying dues. I think they were initially introduced to stop the labor union.
Right.
They think that they could maybe bankrupt the unions by doing this. The PRO Act, where are you on this? Why isn't it, it passed through the House? It's dying in the Senate. What are your thoughts on the PRO Act?
Well, I'm one of the original sponsors of the PRO Act.
Okay, I didn't
so
know that.
so
Nice to meet you.
it's legislation that I believe in. I mean, this is the way we rebuild the middle class in this country. If you just look at the history of the 19th and 20th centuries, it's very clear that there's a very close alignment between the strength of the union movement and the creation of the middle class in America. You go back to 1923 as opposed to 2023, and you could get fired for joining a union. I remember my grandfather was a member of the UAW at Local 599 here, and he died before I was born, but the stories have been passed on to me about how members back then had to wear their union pin underneath their collar. They would wear it, but they couldn't wear it openly because they'd get fired.
Okay.
I work with people in the United States Congress who want to go back to that. Senator Tim Scott just a couple of days ago said that when Ronald Reagan fired the air traffic
Hang on, that was going to be my next question, by the way.
All right. But I mean, he said that if you strike, you should get fired.
Right.
What planet does he live on? What century does he live in?
He lives on a planet where he has now had an NLRB complaint filed against him by Sean Fain for saying that, because that is absolutely, for a sitting senator to make a remark like that is crazy. I agree.
It's look, we've got a long way to go. We are starting to see strength in the labor movement. We've seen it over this summer with other unions, and I'm just proud that the UAW put its foot down and said, look, we're done talking. If we don't see progress toward reestablishing what we gave up in order to keep the companies alive, then we're going to walk. They didn't get the progress they wanted. They walked, and I'll stand with them as long as they're out here.
Thank you for talking with me. I appreciate it. I'm from California, so I don't know all the politicians in this neck of the woods. I appreciate you talking to me.
Pleasure.
And obviously I got the right guy on the PRO Act. Thank you. Appreciate it.
What part of California?
Los Angeles.
Oh.
Actually, we have a facility that is one of the new 38 on the list of the 38 there in Rancho Cucamonga, believe it or not. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's Stellantis or GM.
Yeah.
But when I get back to LA, I'm going to go down there and talk to some of the workers there. Right on. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Okay, back over talking to workers over here again. So now if Jordan was here, he would know who this guy is and know all about him. I'm obviously from California. Well, maybe not obviously. I am from California. Don't know all the politicians here, but...
Did you notice that the news only came when he came here?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they probably knew he was coming here and they flew down, mentioned down. All right, so we have a new member. Welcome, new member, Melanie and Frederick. We appreciate that. Thank you for joining. Again, anybody else, if you can afford to join, we do appreciate it. Jordan's probably going to come back here next week when I leave on Tuesday or Wednesday. We would like to cover some of the political events that are coming up next week. Cornel West will be here Monday or Tuesday. Biden is going to be here, I believe, on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Trump's doing this odd thing where, again, he's not going to participate in the GOP debate, which is actually happening back in California at the Ronald Reagan Library. He's coming here, he's saying, to address the UAW workers, but at the same time, a couple of days ago, he sort of made some derogatory comments towards Shawn Fain. Shawn obviously is not endorsing him. He thinks he's problematic. He's not going to endorse any politician that isn't doing something actively to help the union. And, you know, Trump is the narcissist. I'm going to call it what it is. The narcissist that he is got upset. He's not endorsing me. Shawn Fain is throwing all the workers under the bus is what he came back with. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Wednesday, but that could be kind of a crazy thing. All right, so we're back here at this other gate. Okay, I'm back. Who wants to come talk to me? You guys want to come talk to me? No? No, you're all shy. They're all being shy. Do you guys want to come talk to me a little bit? I'm camera shy. You're camera shy? You're all camera shy? Are you guys camera shy too? Okay. Yeah, we interviewed. So I just want to make sure I give everybody the opportunity to talk to us. If you don't, that's fine.
Damn. You want to talk? She said she's trying to give everybody the opportunity. Y'all want to talk? They nervous.
They're nervous?
They nervous.
All right.
You want to go again, Tierra? Huh? You nervous?
All right. It's okay. I mean, if...
You want in? She said she want to give everybody a chance. I'll see you $5. You go again. Go ahead. I'll see you $5.
All right. I think maybe everybody's too shy to get on camera in front of us here in this section. That's fine. There is another group down at the far end we could walk to. How long have we been live now? Let me check really quickly to see if we have any. I'm checking for super chats. I'm seeing if Colin sent me any. I want to make sure we don't miss any. My internet. I got that one. The internet here has been a little funky for me on my service. So just an update then, and then we'll sign out. We're going to go check out some other locations. We did go back to Centerline this morning and recorded some interviews there. So those are going to be uploaded shortly, I believe, or probably tomorrow morning. But, you know, we're up here in Flint, Michigan, or Burton, which is a block away from Flint. This is the GM plant here. The strikers are out here. It's a large facility with 1,000 employees. They do parts distribution here. It's one of the new 38 locations that Shawn added noon on Friday. They're getting a lot of support, obviously. People are, you know, driving by and honking. And, you know, I just want to mention Flint still doesn't have drinking water, which is crazy to me. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Oh, wait a minute. We might have a super chat coming in. Hang on. Hold that thought. I want to make sure we get everybody. Hang on. Let me... Super chats. We have some super chats. I just got the text. All right, let me read through these. Oh, we have a lot. Okay. Super chats. Fly Chomper Fly. Thank you, Fly Chomper Fly. $2. Very informative. Thank you, Colin, John, and Tina. No, thank you. We appreciate your support. A very, very generous donation from Mr. Anderson of $50. Wow, that's a lot. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Another $50. Wow, from Isaac. Thank you, Isaac. Keep covering the strike. I'll send more when I can. Isaac, we appreciate you. That's a very generous donation. Del El Sendero. I hope I'm saying that right. $10. Thank you. Great job with on-the-ground reporting Status Coup, solidarity with the UAW workers. Thank you for that. Thanks, everybody, for your support. We appreciate it. Just keep checking in. We're going to go live when we can. When we can't go live, we're going to be recording more interviews. And I'm going to be here for the next few days, and hopefully Jordan will come back again on Tuesday or Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.